It reminds me of more like PUBG style maps. There's just something different about like fighting in those rolling hills, like using trees as cover. It's a lot more interesting than just some guy getting one shot and then running into a building, plating up. I like those fights a lot. And this map appears to have a ton of areas like that.
On Urzikstan, for example, you're always fighting at a POI. Whereas on Verdansk, for example, you could be fighting at a POI or you could be fighting between POIs. But on Urzikstan, you're never between POIs. You're always at a POI that has a bunch of buildings. And I mean, that can be fun, obviously, but that lacks a ton of variety. I'd rather have two different types of fights than just the one. We are recording, boys and girls. Welcome to the Dropshot Call of Duty Podcast Patreon bonus episode number 193. My name's Casey, also known as Razinon. Today, I'm joined by Tanner, and we have actually a fun and exciting episode planned here today. So, we were kind of lacking for ideas on what to do for bonus episodes this month since the game has barely been updated, and we were kind of just poking around Discord, and then we remembered an idea we had, which is to go over the map Avalon. Shout out Private Perennium in Discord for this suggestion.
Yeah.
When BO6 launched, there was some kind of exploit, I guess you could call it, where you could go into a custom game on the map Skyline or Lowtown and then become a spectator, and then you could just fly around outside of that multiplayer map to a huge area, and it turns out that's Avalon. Avalon is going to be the next new big map for Warzone. And we are expected to get this sometime after the Verdansk re-release that is expected in Season 3. So when Avalon exactly is arriving, I don't know, but it's almost certainly coming to Warzone at some point in the future. And I think people are saying this year at some point.
I think the thought process is it will be the big map for COD 2025. So Treyarch's title that we're getting at the end of this year, that's rumored to be like a BO2 remaster, was it, I believe, where we'll see basically Omni movement, but advanced Omni movement, some form of like wall running, basic wall running, stuff like that will be in the game. Supposedly that's what all the leaks have said. So I think when all of that integrates, this will be our big Warzone map for the year, probably.
Okay,
so
cool. So when this had broken when BO6 launched, it was a big story for a while, but there was so much else going on because a new COD had launched that we never actually went super in depth at all covering this map. We never flew around ourselves and looked at everything, and we never did like an episode on it. And since there is such a lack of anything else to really go over right now, it's kind of the perfect time to do this, I think. So that's what we're going to do. I don't know if this exploit is possible anymore. Tanner was saying they patched it out.
Well, I figured they did, because nobody's talked about it in a while, but I guess it's because everyone talked about it when it was new, 3 months ago, 2.5 months ago.
Yeah, so either way, it's going to be better to do it this way. What we're going to do is Tactical Brit has a YouTube video on it where he's flying around with no overlay or anything, and he's just yapping about it, which is fine. That's what he should do. We're going to mute that and play the video. So we're just getting a video.
I might leave it on a little quiet, man, see what he has to say. Sometimes it's nice to hear somebody else's opinion, isn't it?
Okay, we could do that too. Yeah, that's fine.
Trigger warning, though, he is British.
He is British, so that's kind of an L.
Huge trigger warning.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. And I'm excited to talk about this. And now we have a lot more context to talk about this too. Like this, one of the advantages of doing it now rather than right when this, came out, is that we now like know what Warzone with Omni movement feels like, for example, primarily actually. And we also know how the visibility is in Warzone currently, which I don't expect to change too much with the next integration, how the audio is, it's how bushes are, etc. So now that we have a lot more context insofar as we know how Warzone feels, we can actually analyze this map better.
Yeah.
So like, for example, if you look at, I don't know, Caldera's peak, right? If you look at that before the integration, you would be like, this is crazy, but I'm just going to drive my vehicle right up there and it's fine. Or I'll fly my chopper right up there and it's fine. But then Caldera actually comes out and you learn, oh, the vehicles are terrible. That's actually not possible. So that analysis would be wrong, or that part of the analysis would be wrong, or like lacking information. So that's kind of an analogy I'm trying to draw here. We know a lot more about Warzone now. So I think we're more well equipped to discuss this and see how it's going to play or project how it might play or likely will play. So with that said, if you're normally an exclusive audio listener, this episode in particular, I would encourage you guys to watch the video for. If you didn't know, Patreon episodes have video. They do. They always do. Go to Patreon or go to your email, whatever. And in the description, I say video here and I hyperlink it. And then you just click that, obviously, and there's a video. I would especially encourage you guys to watch video for this one. You probably don't have to. We'll try to do a good job explaining what we're looking at, but video's particularly encouraged for this one. And then also, we're probably re-releasing this episode publicly on Saturday because I'm going to be out of town. And
are we? Is that our thought? Okay, you gonna do
probably that? Yeah, probably. So just sorry guys, but I'm going to be out of town and we don't have time to record something else to put out for Saturday.
It's also
we didn't have to do that, but we kind of just don't have a choice.
Yeah, it's good timing because I don't know, a lot of people probably won't care, or the people that cared about this also, I guess, probably already watched the videos on it. Like, I never even watched the videos because at the time, the game was just coming out, and I'm like, I don't give a shit about Avalon right now. So now that we've had the dog shit trash game for a few months, I think it's nice to go over this because if anything, it gives us something to look forward to. Because I'm now looking forward to Verdansk coming back, and then I'm looking forward to the new big map after that, which will be this.
Yes.
So I think this is a good time to do it, actually. Yeah. Fuck, it's a great time.
Yeah, for sure. And even if you're listening and you've already like scoured these videos or whatever, if you're listening to this, you're probably interested in our take on it. We might have some new or different, observations to offer you. And then I don't know how long this will take. So this is either going to be the whole episode, or after we're done with this, if we still have time, we'll go over Verdansk, because I got another little video queued up comparing, it's some guy flying around in a chopper at various areas of Verdansk in Classic and then in Verdansk 84. So then we can go over that and be like, imagine this with Omni movement. Or more realistically talking about like, okay, how will this play? What's this going to look like? Because it's been a long time since we had Verdansk. Where do we think they might add a rappel here in this, on this frame? Will they add a horizontal one? Will they add balloons? Where would they be? Etc. So if we have the time, that we'll do that after this. If we don't have the time, I think that might be an episode worth doing for a Saturday coming up on its own, honestly. I don't know when exactly, but obviously it would be before we get Verdansk, but there will be many Saturdays before Season 3 launches where there is nothing else good to talk about. So that video will happen. Whether it's on Patreon or publicly, I don't know yet. So that's enough preamble. Let's get into this. So yeah, I'll turn the volume on. And we'll 3, 2, 1. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Idiot. Click.
Earlier this year, when I said you could see the new Warzone map in a trailer, everyone called me crazy. Well, not only was I right, but now you can see...
So we're seeing a nice little overhead shot here.
Not only can you fly around
so,
the entirety
pause
of
it.
Brand new
First, the immediate thing that strikes me...
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Uh-huh. The obvious
it's
one.
The very obvious thing. This is so wet. There's so much water on my screen. It's literally, in fact, more than 50% of the map showing right now is water.
It's yeah. Your monitor's leaking fluid. It's so wet.
It's leaking. That's correct. That's correct.
There is a lot. There is a lot of water. Something I think we'll see as we go through the video, though. There are a lot of bridges, which makes me kind of hope when people are crossing certain areas, maybe the water will be used less. But you know, it's. I think we have a TAC map somewhere too. Well, hopefully he puts a TAC map in here. If not, we'll have to pull it up ourselves because it does exist.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So
yeah.
But yeah, my first two thoughts are tons of water. I like the color of the map, and it's not. There's more green than we've kind of had in the past. Actually, it's maybe about on par with Urzikstan because they're deserty areas off to the right, and then on the left side here we have some greenery, greener pastures, as they say.
Greener pastures, yeah. Those are 3 thoughts, by the way. But
that's what
also,
I said, 3, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I must have misheard you. Yeah. So yeah, there is a ton of water, and I hate water. I don't think it should be in any FPS game that's multiplayer. However, some upsides are, number one, there's also a decent amount of water on Urzikstan. Not this much, to be clear, but some. And it is just not really an issue at all. With the drones, the redeploy drones, with balloons, with purchasable balloons, lootable balloons, and the static balloons, you really don't have to interact with it that much at all. And also, this water looks a lot brighter, which is to say likely more clear than the water is on Urzikstan right now.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest problems with water is people can just dive in, swim down, and they are gone.
Yeah.
You can't see them anymore.
Yep.
If that's not an issue on this map, and I'm not saying it won't be an issue at all, the visibility of people in the water, but if it's less of an issue, that would be a really good thing.
Yeah.
You still almost certainly will not be able to reliably shoot someone who is in the water. That's never been done since they added water to Call of Duty. It's just, there's no rhyme or reason. People may or may not be able to be hit in the water if you're aiming right at them. That won't change. I have no faith that that'll change. But if I can see very clearly where they are, they got to come up for air at some point, and I'm not going to lose them now like I do on Urzikstan. So then I'll just rip their shit. So like, this is not the end of the world. I don't love it though. And there are a lot of bridges. And yeah, the color scheme reminds me a lot of Caldera.
Exactly. It does. Yeah, it reminds me a lot
almost
of Caldera.
the same.
Yeah, no, this water it's the best looking water we've had, I think. But also before, maybe it was before Urzikstan came out, at one of those events, all the COD creators were like, oh my god, like the water's so easy to see through now, like it's so much better. It was slightly better. It didn't make a massive difference though, so keep in mind like what it looks like in the trailers isn't necessarily actually how it ends up playing, because also we're seeing like an overhead view, so in general the water, I feel like appears more clear, like you would see a guy down there versus when you're at a slight angle to it, you're not going to see the guy down at the bottom. But yeah, this is like the Adriatic Sea, which is crystal clear, and I've swam in it, just so you know, so you're aware. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand it now. Yeah. And also keep in mind, we are looking at the spectator view of a multiplayer map way out of bounds. So like
the quality
is probably
horrific.
Roughly representative of what Avalon will look like. But this is by no means going to be the final product of what you play on in Warzone. You know what I mean? So keep that in mind as well. But
one more cool thing, this little this tunnel on the bottom right, really cool looking. This little road going through the through the rock face. You like that, buddy?
The tunnel. Oh yeah.
That road. So guys, think of
like that at all.
For those of you listening, think of Azir Cave, but the inside area of the cave is a road. And then there are just areas where the rock is open and you can see through. It's pretty looking, man. Zion has that too, which I've also been to, and I've driven through there. So great map for me. I love it. We're off to a great start. Yeah. And what's on the left? Is this a racetrack, or is this just whatever dog shit country this is in their markings? What's with like that white and black?
I think there is a racetrack on the map. I don't know if that's it.
Well,
but we'll get there.
Yeah.
I hate the tunnel. It looks cool.
Just shut up.
I don't like tunnels.
Okay.
Hate them.
Yeah, whatever.
They're dark and shit. But one other thing before we continue. I like the buildings I'm seeing so far.
Yeah.
None of them, and this is a big overhead shot, so like none of these buildings are over 5 stories. That's good. I like that. 5 stories is a tall building.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not super oppressive, you know?
I'm not sure we have a big downtown on this map at all, now that I think about it. This might be like Caldera inspired, man, because even their downtown there didn't have like skyscrapers, obviously, like we had on Verdansk and Urikistan. Interesting. They love water so much. Look at the roofs of these buildings. They're wet up there too.
Yeah, the little pool, I know. If this is Caldera inspired, which it kind of looks like, by the way, that could be a good thing.
Yeah.
As long as it's not topographically Caldera inspired, which it is not.
Yeah. Yeah.
That we already know. So like, because besides the like super insane hills on Caldera, it was a pretty good map.
Terrible dog.
It was just, terrible, awful dog. It was just ruined by all the hills and mountains and stuff. So anyway.
Okay.
All right.
Want to hit play?
Continue. Yeah. 3, 2, 1, go.
Warzone map Avalon, which will eventually release as part of Black Ops.
So that's not a
6.
racetrack.
I honestly
There's more.
think I can say
Wait.
This looks
No,
like
it's just the road.
Might be one of the best Warzone maps of all time.
So we're looking at a bridge that goes, what are those bridges called?
Lots of characters.
No, it is a racetrack, yeah.
Really good lighting.
I think it is the racetrack, yeah.
I think it's an absolute crime that we're waiting for Avalon to
It's a cool
release
POI.
and having Verdansk in
So
March.
3, 2, 1, pause. I don't know why I counted down a pause, but pausing it again here, I'm at 38 seconds.
Uh-huh.
Okay. We're seeing more of the buildings now, at least in one POI. And again, I like what I'm seeing here a lot. The building density is like fairly high here, but it's not insane.
Uh-huh.
And again, they're not very tall. The tallest thing here is like some clock tower, and it is half as tall as the Capitol clock tower in Caldera, downtown, whatever that was called. Capitol.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's like half as tall as that, and that's the tallest thing here, which I like.
Dude.
And the roofs are not giga slanted like a teepee. They are very gradually slanted, so the head glitches will not be that nuts on these, which is also very good.
Yeah, you know what this heavily reminds me of is the horrific area of Fortune's Keep, but this will play fine because it's all flat. That side of Fortune's Keep on the west side is really bad because you're kind of on a slope as the buildings go up. This is similar type of building where it's the same sloped roofs. It's got a clock tower. It's just that area of Fortune's Keep, but flat, which I like, which is totally fine.
Unless
not as dense.
Claustrophobic and dense too. Yeah, exactly.
It looks long, but it's like if you're not listening, that's the type of, or if you're not watching, that's the type of building we're explaining. So just picture that side of Fortune's Keep, those buildings, a clock tower that height, that's the tallest thing in the area. And then even just looking at the overall view, like the rolling hills.
Yep.
I like that.
Yeah. Which also reminds me, I wonder how many of these buildings you can or cannot enter. I would assume most of them, unlike Fortune's Keep, but you probably can. So yeah, never mind. One other thing too, to the right, there is a cliff that is about the height of the clock tower, maybe 1 story shorter than the roof of the clock tower. And then on that cliff, you are now in like a lightly wooded area. There's some trees around, but you're just in the open looking down at this little town. And that reminds me of, oh man, what was it? Oh my God.
What map are you thinking?
I think it was Caldera, where that helipad is.
Beachhead?
No, not quite Beachhead, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I like this.
Yes.
Also, because you can, like, if you're on the clock tower, for example, you're probably in a pretty good spot compared to everyone else in the town, but you are very exposed to people who are on that cliff. But the people on the cliff are very exposed also to everyone behind them. So all of this is like rock, paper, scissors. Like, I'd rather be here than there if no one's there, but I would hate to be here if someone is there. But if no one's in here, then I want to go here instead. There isn't just an obviously best spot in this screenshot at all.
Yeah.
It depends on obviously the zone, but more where other people are, which is really good because there are some maps. If you showed me a screenshot of Peak, I could tell you no matter where anyone else is on this entire map, the best spot is right there, like exactly there. And I hope that helps. And it doesn't matter. You just want to be there always.
Yeah.
But here, you can't point to a spot like that really, because it just depends on where other people are and where the zone is and where the zone is going, which I think is really good. I think these like super oppressive power positions at POIs or anything are really dog shit and bad and not fun. So this not having that, and instead it's all dependent on what's going on, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I this looks like it'll be fun. So
yeah, I just like the open rolling hills because when you really think about it, we haven't had that with Urzikstan at all. Urzikstan does not feel that way. It feels like there is no real open space on the map. There are always buildings, and maybe when you look back at it, maybe that's one thing that made a lot of people like Verdansk a lot more, because like going from POI to POI felt like it, and even that's how Caldera felt. Regardless of how you feel about Caldera, going between the POIs, if all the stupid hills weren't there, I like that design. It's like you come out of a town, you're running through the hills. It reminds me of more like PUBG style maps, but there's just something different about like fighting in those rolling hills, like using trees as cover. It's a lot more interesting than just some guy getting one shot and then running into a building, plating up. I don't know. They just hit a little different. I like those fights a lot. And this map appears to have a ton of areas like that.
Exactly. I totally agree. I think the best way to put it is on Urzikstan, for example, you're always fighting at a POI. Mm-hmm. Whereas on Verdansk, for example, you could be fighting at a POI, or you could be fighting between POIs. Like there existed areas that were just between POIs. I think you could even say the same for Al Mazrah, actually. There were areas that were between POIs.
Yeah, I forgot about Maz, yeah.
But on Urzikstan, you're never between POIs. You're always at a POI that has a bunch of buildings and shit. And that isn't... I mean, that can be fun, obviously, but that lacks a ton of variety. I'd rather have 2 different types of fights than just the one. So that's really good. And my favorite, there is one spot on Urzikstan, I think, that comes up often where you are fighting between POIs, but it's only one, and therefore it's not that common. It's between cargo and like, not even seaport, because there's that buy station on that hill with that building. So not even that direction, but it's more like between cargo and Popov. Like before you get to the gas station, if you're running in that direction and for a while to your left, if you're running toward Popov, that's like between POIs.
Yeah.
But that's the only spot ever. Really.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and that's a great area of the map. That's one of my favorite areas to fight, and I wish it was a lot bigger.
Yeah, 100%. Like my favorite gunfights of all time in Verdansk, for example, were on the edges of the map where you're playing rocks, you're playing trees, and you're playing hills. Not insane caldera hills, but like gradual, this is enough to give me cover, but I'm not just above everyone else kind of hills. That was the most fun. And as this video continues, by the way, we're going to see a lot more of that. Yeah. This is just a little sneak preview. So 3, 2, 1, click.
5. To rewind a little bit, many months ago when Black Ops 6 was first revealed, there was a short clip segment which showed a missile flying over a river, and it seemed that the area around it was far too detailed. Now, flash forward to now, we can actually confirm and see for ourselves.
Pretty little area there.
Yep.
Oh, this is the map.
Building on fire.
This is
Lowtown map. Lowtown. Yes.
The map for Avalon is indeed there.
And it's on fire.
You can do this yourself on your own console or PC by going into.
So let's pause here. I'm at 109.
Yep. Same.
Okay. This, I think, we will flag it if this isn't true, but because I've watched this before when this first came out. I think what we are looking at here is the tallest point on the map.
That's what it looks like, yeah. And you can tell it's not just in the middle of the map because let's just say north of this, past this hill, it's just all water, and you can tell the map kind of ends up there on the right. So
yeah.
Doesn't really seem like it's just directly in the middle. And it's the highest point, but it's easily accessible. Think of Peak on Maz. About half the height, though, and more roads going up to it.
Way more gradual incline.
Gradual incline. Nothing steep at all, yeah.
Nothing steep at all. You don't have to take a rappel like you did on Maz. Well, you didn't have to, but that was one of the ways up. Yeah. Super gradual, not nearly as tall, and not central either, which is going to be a really refreshing change of pace. Because what Tanner was just talking about was observatory. That's the POI. That was the tallest point, and it was dead center of the map, and it was very high up. Caldera, Peak, obviously. Verdansk, somewhere downtown, which wasn't exactly central, to be fair, but we haven't seen a map like this in a long time. Here's another one. Rebirth Island, Prison Roof, central, tallest point. Besides Water Tower, I guess, but that's still fairly central if you want to count that. So this will be very interesting because even if this were central, it's not like a giga power position. You're not that high. You really aren't.
No.
And it's so gradual getting up there that you're not super looking down on people very oppressively from this angle anyway. It probably over the hill. You probably are looking more steeply down on people, or like even the road you can see on the left side. If you looked over the hill down onto that road, it's probably a fairly steep look down, so you probably have a big advantage there. But you can also get rolled up on with extreme ease from behind you if that's the case. And the people coming up on you from that direction, like from my computer chair up to that tower, there's a lot of trees, rocks, and cover as you make your way up there. So you can like rip someone, move to the next tree, throw a smoke, move up more, get behind the little crevices on the right side there once you get close to the top. This is fun. This looks like really fun gunfights, and not just super oppressive, I'm in a better spot, I win automatically, which is really, really nice. So that's cool. And then we also see imagine the Golden Gate Bridge if it was 1/10 of the length and not red. We see one of those, but it's another bridge. And then even the water, like on the bottom left of your screen, there's like some little sandbar in the middle or something. So you really don't have to swim very much at all to get across there. I'm seeing some hangars as well on the bottom left. Very reminiscent of like airport on Verdansk. And then I don't know what's going on the right. This little rectangle thing. Power transformers or something, maybe? I don't know. But just look at all the hills and look at the density of trees and the lack of bushes. That's another big thing. Because Caldera had a lot of trees. It also had a lot of bushes, though. And everyone hated that. Shout out to Fallout memes. Cope Cowboy, especially. Cope the Come Cowboy. I don't love bushes either. I kind of hate them also. I'd rather have just more trees so that you get visibility cover and actual hard cover rather than bushes where you only get visibility cover so that someone can sit in it with a ghillie suit, operator skin, Black Cell Premium, by the way, and then rip your shit because he's not behind hard cover. He can just shoot through it. That's really good. So the density of trees looks like kind of perfect to me here. And in most of these like open areas, like just look to the left, look how many trees there are. It's not like, the Amazon rainforest, but it's also not a desert. There are quite a number of trees, but not too many. That's kind of what it looks like to me. I'm not 100% certain of this take. I'd have to play the game, but I'm very confident this is a good amount of trees.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, let's keep playing it. 3, 2, 1, go.
And literally just flying around the map. And you can see everything that was going to come to the brand new version of
a lot of open areas.
With all of the new Omni movement and all of the new systems. Avalon looks incredible. We're talking an F1 racing track. We're talking football stadiums. We're talking golf courses. We're talking bridges.
So now there's like a broken down Elden Ring bridge.
All of the feedback from
another bridge. Yeah, we're bridged up.
And basically mashed it into one. This is going away from dense urban environments that we're seeing in Urzikstan and moving towards unique points of interest that people found cool and interesting. Like in the original.
It all looks entirely different.
Honestly, after flying around the map.
Yep. So now we get a stadium, except it's like a Roman Coliseum.
It's a Coliseum, yeah.
And just the general landscape and what they've hoped to achieve.
And that looks fun to fight at, by the way.
So much fun, and I'm so disappointed that we aren't getting our.
So here's like another high spot in another Elden Ring ruin.
Map yourself, and you're more than welcome to do so.
And some caves.
Video or checking it out at a later date. By the way, make sure to drop a like on this video and subscribe if you want to see more.
Interesting area.
The sheer amount of thought
and we're seeing a first look at probably the biggest building on the map. That sucker's huge.
Yep.
Very unique and have their own unique standpoints. Everything looks like in terms of cover and moving from point A to point B that things have been thought about. And I have no doubt in my mind that this
was that a hospital, you think?
I don't know what that was. That's a good question.
I'm sure he'll come back to it.
Releases. The only contentious point of this map is the water, and there seems to be a fair amount of it. But there are islands between the water that means that people...
Cute little neighborhood there. Yeah, I like that little neighborhood.
That was fun to drop at. And I can't stress enough how many bridges there are. Like, there is a lot of water, but there are so many bridges to cross it, too. Which is going to create
tennis courts?
Choke points, which will add some more predictability. And for that reason, be pretty good.
Okay, let's pause it.
Pause. Okay.
Yeah, 313. Okay. This area of the map is cute. It's that stuff I like where it's like you're going through tennis courts and then now you're on a golf course. Like areas like that is how Caldera felt. It felt lived in and real.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've really had that like since Caldera, if you ask me.
True.
Urzikstan didn't feel like that. Moz didn't feel like that. They're both fine maps. I think Moz is overrated, especially now. Everyone wants to go back to it. It wasn't a very good map. And Urzikstan's about the same thing. It's also not very good. It's standard. This again feels lived in though, and I like that a lot.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Yeah. And then again, like on this screenshot, look at the number of trees.
Yeah.
Like, it's not too many, but it's not too few, which is really good. And a lot of the trees, these aren't like sequoias. They're fairly thin, so they will give you hard cover from like one angle and only one angle. So if you're surrounded, you're gibbled. You're fucked, which is kind of good. I like that.
Yeah.
So this is really nice. And then you see up in the top right, there's like another high point, but again, fairly gradual getting up there. And on top of that high point, there isn't also an insane building.
Yeah.
That's another thing we should have mentioned. We were talking about the last high point when we had paused before. At the top of that building, there was like a cell phone tower. That was it. There wasn't a building either. If there was a building, it was really small and shit. It wasn't like some insane building like Peak after one of the seasons where they added like a ton of more ramparts and stuff. Shout out to Walt. You could just sit there and be so chilling.
Yeah.
An ammo refill, a buy station, like it just way too good. There will probably be buys at some of these high points, obviously, but they don't also have like impenetrable buildings and the highest point in the area, you know? So yeah, I'm really liking that. So 3, 2, 1, play. And it does feel lived in. You're right.
Hope we get some golf carts, man.
In this current version
That'd be sick, dude. That would actually be hilarious.
About Avalon is just
Another
how
bridge.
detailed this box out is. I'm going to show you
This
a couple
is
of
where we
areas that I
started.
thought were really cool.
Yes.
I mean, just to start with, we have a full-blown F1 style track going on here. Through this hill.
Yeah, racetrack's a cool
And a lot of
POI.
these maps do
Just in
feature
general, the idea
multiplayer.
behind it.
This is in fact Lowtown itself over here, which is part of the multiplayer segment, which is why it's highly more detailed. But there is a full F1 style map going through sort of a small town. This town is very reminiscent of something we've seen in Fortune's Keep.
Little carousel?
Small alleyways,
Yeah.
lots of decent little rooftops to work with. But
Wonder
what
if you could
really
turn it on.
strikes me about this map is the sheer quantity of water. Now, even amongst all of these cool areas, and this, you know, very low detailed poly of the game is showing some really cool stuff like, you know, underground
tunnel.
caves and tunnels that would have been really cool
This
firing
tunnel's not nearly
positions,
as bad
or,
as I
like,
thought it was, so
tunnels
that's
that
good.
work their way through the map so you could go from A to B, or really large bridges.
Oh, a new bridge.
We are seeing a fairly hefty amount of water. If I pull this all the way back, we are seeing lots of different
Pull that sucker
island-like
back.
masses. We're also seeing a few more built-up points of interest, and there are some really good POIs on this, and we will go through them. But lots of water. You know, Avalon as a map seemingly features 2 distinct main rivers that sort of go through and connect to one another, that then reach out.
There's
to
the
the
highest
sea.
point. Yeah,
It's
so
a
that
very
is the highest
interesting
point, it
thing
looks
to
like,
see.
for
Okay,
sure.
yeah.
So we have
confirmed.
tennis
It's
courts,
official.
we've got the Lowtown with the F1 map.
It's really
We've
good.
got what is Skyline, the actual multiplayer map.
Oh, the
which is
Skyline map
here
is going to
as
be a
part
pretty
of
big
Oh,
building.
let's pause
too.
it here. Let's pause it.
Palace sort of.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Go
What do you
back.
got?
Go back on a view of that, of the tall building.
Timestamp.
450. The beginning of
Okay.
450. So this looks like a resort, actually. Right?
This is the map Skyline, yeah. So you
Oh,
play Skyline
okay,
on that
yeah.
roof.
Okay. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. I like that a lot. Cool.
Mhm.
I do wonder, so I assume obviously most of these floors won't be playable. Probably the roof will be the bottom floor, maybe another floor like below the roof or 2 will be playable.
I would hope
There will probably be a
and
staircase
imagine
going all the way up, but just most
it
of the
would
doors you
be-
can't open.
yeah. Yep.
But okay.
I hope and imagine it would be like an Urzikstan downtown building where there's like an interior rappel, exterior rappels, and then a staircase as well, and that's kind of it. That's what I would imagine,
Yeah.
which would be good. Yeah.
That will be an original. That will be the first hot drop location right there, is the roof of Skyline, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Will be
Mhm.
a spot. Okay. Yeah. All right. Ready?
Yeah. 3, 2, 1, go.
A palace sort of setup point of interest further on down here as well. The entire map is incredibly detailed. Of course, obviously, this is a low poly version of Avalon as a whole, but you could really get a sense of the scale and feel for what they were going for. And
Let's
this was a
pause here.
Wow.
multiplayer slash
504. So this looks a lot like Vondel.
Yeah, it's one of those Vondel buildings.
I forget the building. I forget that POI, but it looks like very much like that roof. What is that POI called? You know what I'm talking about, right?
I don't know the POI, the name of it either. Yeah, it's the one over like kind of close to train station across the river. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like east of Stadium on the roof. Looks very similar to that. Flat roof. But
I didn't think that was
like
even a named POI, is it?
Roof. It may or may not have been. I don't remember. Doesn't really matter. You guys probably, if you've played Vondel, you guys and are watching this, you can tell exactly what roof we're talking about. But like this is a large museum. Okay, yeah, looks very much like that. This is a large building in its footprint, but it's like 3 stories tall, and then the roof. So like you maybe count as a 4th story. That's it. And it's a flat roof too, so you're not head glitching on a 4-story roof. You're on a flat roof. So pretty strong position, but not super insane. And it doesn't look like you can look out of most of the windows if you're inside of it.
No.
Which is also good, because that shit's annoying. So this is cool. And like, you know, the entranceway, like in the bottom left of our screen, these little Roman pillars or whatever. This looks like a fun little area to fight around and in. Probably a buy station is going to be somewhere around here. Looks cool. And yeah, this is like, so you're going to, let's say you hot drop here. You get in some fights here. And then you have to rotate to like the racetrack. And then you get in some fights on the way. Those are going to feel totally different.
Very
like distinct. Those 2 experiences are going to be so different. Because you're going to be on like a flat roof, or you're going to be on the ground with a bunch of buildings around. So you're going to be like playing buildings, playing windows, whatever. And then you start rotating, and now you're playing trees, and there are no buildings to hide in, and you're like throwing smokes or whatever, and you're fighting just, you know, taking hills, going behind rocks, and it's going to be so distinct and unique feeling. And then compare that to Urzikstan. You drop Mosque, you loot up, you get in a gunfight, okay. Then you balloon to hotel, and then you're in another building, you get another gunfight. And then you parachute over to downtown, like across that little river. And then you're just in a fuck ton more buildings. And then you're on the roofs of more buildings. And then you have to rotate to fucking whatever, cargo. And then you're in more buildings. Like, they're different buildings, sure, but it's all just the same kind of shit. Whereas this is going to feel like a lot different in a lot of spots, even between buildings too. Probably more so than Urzikstan. Like, if I fight in Lowtown and then I fight in downtown, those are going to feel fairly different because they are different types of buildings. Obviously, some are not as tall. Downtown's taller, etc. But then compare that to like here and then fighting at, I don't know, Skyline or that neighborhood with the little short clock tower. Those are also going to feel very, very distinct. Maybe not more distinct than the first 2, but equally distinct. But then again, also, we have all these between POI fights that we'll have, which I think is going to just add so much variety. Plus, it's just going to be a new map, which is going to be awesome. But yeah, let's continue this. 3, 2.
Oh wait, I was going to say one thing real quick.
Go ahead. Yeah.
This might be our first look at actual confirmed zip lines, like or vertical zips. Like obviously, we know they're going to be in the map. These are the first 2 I've seen though. We see one on the bottom right.
Yellow things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be honest, I don't like this POI. I don't like this building at all. Just because it reminds me of the Vondel one, and I hate that area on Vondel. But this will play different, I'm sure. But more than anything, it's a nice distinction between looking at a castle and then in the background we have like a new like hotel modern resort. Yeah, it's a nice it's a nice combination to have those. All right.
I agree. Yeah. 3, 2, 1, go.
Multiplayer / Warzone map that clearly has buckets of identity. You know, each one of these POIs
don't say buckets of identity.
There's very much been an emphasis on creating what I would call dedicated points of interest.
Just some
I agree with that. Dedicated points of interest.
Even just something like this house, for example. You know,
Warzone
Verdansk particular was filled with lots of little buildings that had a bit of character to them, and you remembered them because of that. So like a little swimming pool, chateau sort of thing. We've got more of that over here.
Oh my god, they love water.
This is P. Diddy's house.
And then over here,
they love water.
Oh, here we go.
Interest in this map.
Here's the stadium.
stadium.
Let's pause it.
A full.
Okay.
Let's get that overhead view of it going. I'm gonna pause
Yeah.
at 40. Okay, I'm gonna go pee. You can start talking
40.
about this.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, this is a stadium. Very similar, of course, to the Vondel Stadium. There are like the awnings. These awnings are not tarps. They are harder than that. They're like whatever. I don't know what stadiums in real life have when they close, but like, I don't know, not concrete, probably some polymer, whatever. I don't fucking know. Anyway, they're harder. They're not tarps, but they're aligned in the same way as they are on Vondel. So you can like stand above the, bleachers. And then there's the part of the bleachers behind them is where you'd like enter the stadium. It's like the inside area. So just like Vondel has one of those areas. And then of course there's the field. So it looks like it's like a, I don't know, soccer field here. I will say it's hard to tell, but this looks like a smaller stadium than Vondel. Vondel appears to be a larger stadium than this, like its footprint and its field even. Again, kind of hard to tell. There are no character models on my screen, so I don't really know, but it kind of looks that way. Not that that's super relevant, because if it is smaller or even bigger, it's not by much, and that doesn't really matter that much, but I thought I'd point it out. But fighting at Stadium on Vondel is really, really cool and really fun. However, on Vondel Stadium, there's a bunch of cover on the field. On this stadium, there's none. It's an open field. With that said, this is the out of bounds of a multiplayer map. So like they would probably add, let me relax on the probably. They ought to and possibly would add some cover in the middle of this field. And if they don't, it's not the end of the world. It's a big map BR. Don't run into the field. It's not that hard. So this looks cool. Yeah. And you see a ton of water in the background with an island.
Yeah, good view of all that. No. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so there is a lot of water. There is an island in the middle of it, but there's like a lot of water between this coast, that island, and then the next coast, which is a playable area. So yeah, get your flippers out. That's interesting. And not any bridges here, which is kind of weird. It almost makes me wonder, is it playable actually? If you go like, imagine you're in the middle of the field and then you run directly straight up into the water and keep going. Is that other shore you reach a playable area, you think? I actually can't tell.
I think
there are no
so.
bridges to it, which would be weird.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I would assume it'd be. Yeah, I don't know.
It looks like it could be, or it could not be. I actually can't tell. Yeah. It's hard to tell. Like the area to the right is almost certainly playable. That seems kind of obvious. But we're reaching the edge of the map here. Either way, I don't know if we're at it yet or what. But
I wonder if red card is built into this right here.
Red card. Oh, this might be red
because I know like a stadium kind of looks like a stadium, but look at the center of the soccer field here, and then look straight up. That corner where it rounds is exactly like how the red card one is. So this might just be red card.
Something. Yeah.
And I'm trying to think on the multiplayer map. I never look out there. I think the field is empty in the multiplayer map.
Yeah.
Which it's fine, but that is true. That's another thing to mention. I guess we kind of already did, but we're looking at this out of bounds of a multiplayer map, so there could be a lot more detail. We might actually have triple the amount of trees when we see the real map and not just this. So there definitely obviously are lots of things that aren't rendered in that will be there, or just changes they'll make in general.
Yeah, that's a good point too. So all right, let's keep playing. 3, 2, 1, go.
Stadium.
Oops, mine didn't play.
A full-blown football stadium with, by the looks of it, an accessible interior, because you can see parts of the poly that haven't rendered.
I'm pretty sure that is red card, by the way.
Great. We have a marina attached to that football stadium. This
Which
map just has so much going on. Lots of little docklands, lots of
Okay, so this is a playable
buildings,
area then.
lots of coastal and beach-like fights, which probably
definitely, yeah, okay.
Some of these points of interest. Helipads. There's just so much going on. There's also a military-style base in this general
615.
615. Okay, let me get caught up.
Maps.
Oh yeah, welcome back, Caldera.
What does this remind you of?
Caldera.
Caldera, Beachhead.
Yeah. I'm telling you, very. Who designed Caldera? Who made that map? What studio was that? Was that High Moon? I think it was High. Well, I guess they usually make the map, so it doesn't matter.
Dude, I think you are more and more onto something. This really does feel, looking at everything, the trees, the color, the lighting, the buildings, the uniqueness, it all reminds me of Caldera. Like, this does feel extremely Caldera inspired, which might make some of you nervous, but imagine a Caldera map where it was not nearly as fucking mountainous as Caldera was. And then imagine if that could be fun or not. It would be, I think. I liked a lot of parts of Caldera. A lot of the POIs on Caldera, I actually think were really good. The problem on Caldera was between POIs, you had to be an alpaca to travel them. That was ass. But like the POIs themselves were pretty good. So if we're going to do like a reimagined Caldera style map without that problem, we're looking at potentially a very good Warzone map. Maybe the best one there's ever been. Obviously, it is way too early to say that, but besides the water, this is shaping up to be what may be, in my opinion, the best designed / idea for a Warzone map we've literally ever had. A lot of it's going to come down to execution. Where are the buys? How many? Where are the balloons? How many? What other mechanics? Where are the zips? How many? How loud are they? How loud are the parachutes? All of that. How are the vehicles? How is the water again? Like, there are a lot of things we just don't know. Yeah. So ultimately, I can't obviously say if this is going to be like a really good Warzone map or not. But it's not outside of the realm of possibility. This is the best Warzone map we have ever had to this point. But yeah, again, too early to say that. And that does mean something though, because there is a world where we're getting this look at the next Warzone map. And even though we don't have that much information, you can guarantee it won't be the best Warzone map ever. Like, it is possible that we're doing a flyover, and I can say, even though we don't know all those things I just said, it's already certain this will not be the best Warzone map we've ever had. You can imagine that easily. Big oceans of water, for example, or insanely tall buildings with a ton of windows, or like open deserts that are totally flat with no trees or something. Like, you could easily imagine we're doing a fly through and we can already dismiss the Warzone map being good as a possibility. The fact that I can't do that here and I'm leaning toward the opposite, I think is actually a really good sign. So yeah. I'm getting a lot more excited now than I initially
fuck
was.
Verdansk. I'm so over Verdansk. I wish we didn't do this episode now. Now I just want to skip forward 8 months now, and I'm really pissed. So I'm bugged about it, and the episode's ending now because I don't want to watch any more of this. It's pissing me off lots.
Activision does play their own game.
So Raven actually was the lead designer on Caldera. So that would kind of line up as to why Warzone is in complete shambles right now. They're trying to lead development on updating the fucking game. They're trying to polish and finish Verdansk, because I'm sure there will be a lot more changes than we were thinking there will be. Little changes, obviously. Not like they can just copy and paste the fucking map. They're going to be... Every little aspect of it is going to be different. And they've also been designing and finishing the brand new big map, while also working on the Halloween event. So, yeah, no wonder the game's terrible. This is why we're looking at it. They're just probably working on way too many things at once.
That's very possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, ready?
Yep. 3, 2, 1, go.
and that connects as well.
Yeah, I would have a hard time believing it wasn't Raven who's lead designer on this. It really seems like it.
Arena takes place in the game, which is how we saw.
Not a big fan of this area.
And how we knew it was going to be.
Don't like the style at all. But it's fine. It's on the edge of the map.
Features as part of these military islands.
Hate it, actually.
This actually has seemingly quite shallow water. So getting from point A to point B around here seems to be easy.
Shallow water, that's good.
We're seeing radar towers and radar dishes.
That area also reminded me of Fortune's Keep, by the way. That's by Lighthouse.
Cool stuff going on in Avalon, and honestly,
yeah,
every time
I can see that.
This thing, I think it's such a big shame that we're just not seeing this map. At least not.
Dude,
soon,
so many Caldera vibes here.
But even
it's insane.
This is just a silly little dockland with a couple of cranes, a warehouse, but it's got so much character.
And Fortune's Keep, yeah.
And surrounding areas
the old Fortune's Keep,
so many
we should say.
Opportunities for fun and interesting gunfights.
Yeah, he's very right. Like this, just imagine fighting in this area right here. It's
these caves.
Imagine fighting here with Omni movement.
Oh shit! Yeah. Oh, look at this. Hold on, pause it. What do we have? Venice? Venice, Italy is in the map too. We got a sinking city basically. Look at this, man. That water level's about to just flood the whole city. Another cool distinct POI. Oh, it's like a shipbuilding site or something, right? What is that thing?
Yeah, like a shipyard. I think you're right.
What is that big thing there? Isn't that part of a ship?
That appears to be a half of a ship. Yeah, I think you're right.
Wow. Another unique POI. Yeah.
The port side of a ship. And I was a United States naval officer, so I know exactly what that is.
You're a seaman?
Starboard port. Yeah, this does look cool. Well, this looks unique. I'm gonna be honest. I don't like this area. I think I would fucking hate fighting here. A lot of like water very close to you and very accessible. Like I could see it very easily. You're getting in a gunfight, a guy's one shot. Boop. He cannonballs and he's gone. And then he pops up like behind the other thing. This kind of reminds me sort of, not exactly in look, but in how it might play, of that Vondel POI with the fucking apartments on the water.
Yeah.
Forget what it's called, that we never fucking go to because it's ass.
Yeah.
Feels like gunfights might play similarly here. But again, like you said, this is kind of the edge of the map. Don't have to be here. This would annoy me a lot more if it was in the middle of the map, for example, because then you just couldn't avoid it a lot of the times. But when there are like shit POIs, and I could be wrong also, this is just what I'm predicting might be an issue. But when they are on the edge of the map like this, they are very often avoidable. And like sometimes you're going to get an end game here, but it'll be pretty rare. And no Warzone map is going to be everywhere's awesome for every player. And I would love it if it ended anywhere, like obviously. So I would take it. But yeah, looks cool. But anyway, I'm at 723.
Oh wow, you're way ahead. Okay, let me fast forward a few seconds here.
Warehouses and it's surrounded.
Yeah, let me get a better look at this actually as we're going through. Okay, play it. Ready?
3, 2, 1, go.
They've clearly
that's a ship.
Of a sort of half-constructed ship with a helipad on it.
Wow, helipad on it. I've noticed a lot of helipads, by the way, like very distinct helipads.
Scenario. You know, a map that really feels like it's.
And here's the little miniature Golden Gate Bridge.
These points of interest just feel really.
New POI we haven't seen. This looks like some sort of manufacturing facility, maybe.
Yeah.
This looks really fun to fight at.
Look at all that open space going through here.
Because it sort of doesn't have very distinct POIs. It's safe to say that Avalon
oh my god, a ton
does
of
have
open
very
space.
POIs. It's got castle ruins with innards. It's got
and here's another
stadiums.
Yeah,
it's just Caldera but flat. Like even this, like all these areas are on Caldera essentially.
Or at least 3 of them running through the map. Some of them are a little
bit more
old-timey,
this bridge is cool.
Some of them are a bit more modern.
I'm getting excited, and yeah, this is Noxtella, the Eternal City. This is just Elden Ring and Caldera. Yeah, it's that simple.
Area, but very thought out cover, boxes in places and locations that would have allowed for like a speedball style gameplay scenario. This map deserves to be on Warzone. You know, with no doubt in my mind, Avalon probably when it releases formally is going to be possibly
that's Skyline.
one of the best Warzone maps.
I kind of want another closer look at that like hospital building we saw.
There isn't too much of it. There isn't too little of it.
Yeah, he thinks it's going to be the best Warzone map.
Big buildings
across all of this. But if they add
like
okay, good look at high rise here.
Boats and add cool ways to traverse the water and
Skyline,
lines, I don't think people will hate it that much. You know, we've even got a golf course on this map. We've got a hotel on this map. We've got an old abandoned town and churchyard on this map. that also feels really well
little windmill,
really dense.
Dude, that place looks dope.
Farmland, welcome back, farms.
Having
yeah,
buckets and buckets of character all throughout, and very much thoughtful character.
Stop saying buckets.
Some of this stuff is low poly, and you can't get a huge glimpse of what it looks like, especially this compound here.
There's like a little lake.
But in terms of the general design,
that's water I don't hate.
From point to point.
One shallow body of water.
Great overview of the map here. 925.
Okay. Yeah, me too. Yeah, this is a good overview of the map.
This is... It's not hilly at all. It's... God, there's... I mean, there are probably actually less elevation changes in Urzikstan. It's about the same. Except you don't have the high rises, so it's actually less when you think about it if downtown didn't exist.
I agree.
Because to me, Caldera or Urzikstan feels like 3 areas of the map. It feels like downtown, south of the water, is all one giant POI. North of the water, it all meshes together until you get to the northwest corner of the map where like Levin Resort is and where the map's just horrific.
Yeah.
And then that's just its own area. There are 3 POIs, essentially. That's how it feels.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of with you.
This is just like you're saying, imagine going from Popov to Port and that big open space. Take that and then, make that area longer, and that's how it appears to be going between every POI, basically. So also that hill we were talking about, the highest point on the map, which isn't very high, actually does seem like it's kind of in the middle of the map, which is totally fine because it's not a giant hill, but now I'm realizing that is near the middle of the map. So I think where we started at the racetrack, to me, that seems pretty center. Probably dead center of the map, essentially, a little bit further north, though. Okay. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, for the reasons we talked about, that probably is not a huge issue because you're not that high.
Not at all, no.
Very easy to get up there, and you're not... there's no buildings up there, so yeah. So, all right. 3, 2, 1.
You can go from this old abandoned town with a church tower to a highly built-up dense skyline block to a dockland to something else to a palace.
What is a dockland? Like just call it a dock, right? What is a dockland?
Yeah, I don't know. I hate the...
I like to hear...
Was the thing that I thought was a hospital just skyline?
Yes.
Okay, I paused it. Okay.
I like here at 938, it's cool how the water coming out from the river is like swamp green, and then where it meets with the ocean, I guess, it turns from green into that colorful Adriatic Sea water, which I've been in. So,
and there's like the transition area aqua. Yeah, 3, 2, 1, go.
Not having too much cover and not having too little cover.
I can post pictures. I've been in there.
When you get to a POI, it's dense, it's unique, it's offering something a little bit different.
Could drown you in it.
And it feels like you could feel that all throughout the town.
I know how to swim.
The most densely built up area in this game is probably this segment here between the low town area there and the upper town area here, which features a bunch of hotels.
That's the biggest town.
And pause it again, by the way. 10 minutes.
Okay.
Or actually even... Hold on. Let me find it better. Like 958, 959. 959 is good. Yeah, 959.
Upper town area.
So in like the top right area, that's an interesting area that he hasn't really gone over, which kind of bugs me. But like,
maybe he will here because he is talking about this area.
Yeah, maybe he will. But that kind of looks... It looks sort of like Vondel, but with fewer buildings. Because there are like some buildings that are all equal height, some of which are very close to each other, like you could jump to them, with flat roofs. Feels kind of like Vondel, but just not as many buildings as Vondel had in those areas. But yeah, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's see if he gets closer to it.
And sort of skylines. And even then, it's not massively dense. And it's safe to say that, from moving point A to point B, teams who kind of play position would have benefited a lot in this. People who enjoyed Verdansk for the unique POIs that it had really would have enjoyed this. And I really hope we see parts of this come to the game soon. There's some very methodical detail in some places as well. So this is like an intersection point for all of the waterways that you're seeing in the map here. And there are a bunch of cave systems and stuff that the map is clearly trying to use. So there will be kind of an emphasis on a bit of exploration and moving around the map and discovering things. But something like this feels great to me because it's got, you know, a
the little train goes under the building. That's dope, actually.
Welcome back, OP Mark.
There, by the way.
To what is
Yeah.
very
See a lot of repels there.
Power position roof
which
that
is
allows you to
good.
control 2 bridges and have a really good sightline over
Bridged up.
Hell, 3 bridges even if you count this one over here.
He said,
It
hell,
just
3
feels
bridges
like
even.
This has been a
What's with, hold on, pause it. 1058. What's with this little wooden structure on top of the roof? I like it, but I don't know what it is.
It's like a gazebo, maybe?
Oh,
Like
I
you
guess
sit
it
under
is. Yeah. It's probably a little, yeah. Probably a little
That's what
bar
I'm
or something right
assuming.
there.
The maps.
Yeah.
They took
Alright, play it.
Al-Mazrah, they took Urzikstan, they took Verdansk, and they said, how can we take the best parts of all of these maps and bring them into something that feels cohesive?
That looks like the
kind of
hotel
shows off
on
what all of those maps are
Urkistan.
good at and kind of gives us something a little bit different. And we know Treyarch loves their traversal. We know that they love things like zip lines and stuff in the
okay.
past, so it wouldn't be a huge surprise to see speedboats and things like that coming into the
Oh, there's
fray.
the actual train.
But this just feels like they've got
Oh, yeah.
really unique POIs, really well thought out designs, like, you know, zipline systems, cave systems, really good exploration.
He loves this
there's-
building.
yeah,
Holy
tons of
shit.
zips, dude.
This is the
Yeah,
penultimate
he's
map
he's
for Warzone.
penetrating this building.
What I'm seeing in terms of design across all of these POIs, what I'm seeing in terms of how could this be cool?
Get
in
me
a
up close to
Warzone
that fucking
gunfight
train,
scenario.
man.
You know, how can I escape through the bridge? How can I escape through the low town?
That's pretty much
How
it
can I
here,
use
huh?
some of the verticality? It's just ticking all of those boxes.
About what it's, oh, more tennis
I'm
courts.
really curious to hear you guys' thoughts and feelings about Avalon. Again, we have no formal release for this. We don't think it's releasing in November. We're pretty sure it's coming.
I don't know if
after
this is
Verdansk, and
central.
that seems to be the rumor. Are you disappointed?
I think
that you're
it's
not
the
getting this
high
sooner?
point.
Do you
I think
not
it's
like the look of it?
central.
Let me know your
I
thoughts and
paused it. I'm
feelings in the
done.
comment section
I think
down
it's
below.
central, like longitudinally, but not latitudinally.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. Like it's in the middle in one way, but not the other. So it's like very high and in the middle, or very low and in the middle. I think. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah. I like it. So I
Which is
never,
good, yeah.
I did not watch any of these videos when it came out, like I said, because I didn't care to, but I'm glad I watched this now.
I
The
am
map does
too.
look really good. And for
Yeah.
some reason, I don't know why, maybe it's just because I'm an idiot, but the water is not worrying me. I don't know why. Because you
I
know
agree
there
with
will
you.
be a lot of circle endings in the water unless they do a good job of there just not being.
Yeah.
I guess Urzikstan doesn't really have water endings, but this is a lot more water. So I don't know.
Well, they also will manipulate end zones.
Yeah.
Like, remember when Caldera, like every game was ending peak, so they said that's not going to happen very often, and then it never
It
did.
never happened again. Yeah. Never
So they
once
could
did it end there again.
probably finagle that
Yeah,
some
of
way.
course. Yeah.
Yeah. Remember when the World Series of Warzone
Yeah.
for Warzone 2 ended in the water?
Yeah.
Oh, that was so funny.
It was a last
And,
chance qualifier. Yeah.
or whatever it was. Yeah, it was hilarious. God, that was funny. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, I'm glad we went over this. We will not go over Verdansk in this episode. We'll probably
Fuck no.
yeah, we'll do that at some point for a Saturday or bonus ep on Patreon here. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that. Overall thoughts, yeah, I had looked at this when it had come out, but not this much
Yeah.
at all. Like I did like a little cursory, like, oh, okay, whatever. Now that I have, I think the best way to sum it up is imagine Caldera with Omni movement, and if it were much flatter.
Yeah.
And then that's what we're cooking with here, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Like this, I'm very excited for this. And again, I will reiterate, I think this could be actually, and I'm not the guy to say this usually, but I think this could be the best Warzone map we've ever had.
Yeah.
By a long shot, too, actually. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not that worried about the water either, because there are so many bridges and parts where there is a ton of water, or like it takes up a large area. I feel like those are near the edges of the map and easily avoidable. And even if they're not in the edge of the map, again, just easily avoidable. Like, oh, I'm just going to go to this bridge, or I'm going to balloon over it. Like, it's not that bad. Whereas in, like, for example, Vondel, the there's less water on Vondel than there is on this map. A lot less. However, like by volume per square foot. However, it's way more of a problem probably on Vondel because it is so evenly distributed that you can always from anywhere basically get wet.
Yeah.
Like anywhere. You can be not almost anywhere, but there are a lot of places where you can just at the drop of a hat dive into water.
Yeah.
So that shit was trash. And your loadout would drop in the water all the fucking time on Vondel. That was really cringe and really bad because the waterways were just crisscrossing the like buildings on like a grid. Like X fucking waterways. There were like 10 horizontal lines of water down the middle and then 10 more up the map from left to right. So you can just always get wet. But on this map, there's like more water by square foot, but they are not so evenly like crisscrossed where you can just always just dive in. That's what it feels like. It's again hard to tell without playing it. It's hard to tell, you know, without even, yeah, like with, I don't know. It's hard to tell without playing it and without knowing how the water works, you know. There is some universe, I doubt it, that part of the like Omni Movement Plus that we'll be getting for the next integration, instead of or in addition to wall running, is something like hovering or skating or some shit over water. So where you can like hover, not like you can fucking Jesus walks across water or anything, but like, I don't know. And again, I find this very unlikely, but it's possible you can like slide over the water because you get some like little hover fucking thing or something. Again, wild speculation, but it's possible. But yeah, you're right. I am also not very concerned with the water, which is good.
Yeah. What was the other thing I was thinking? Well, I guess it's on Vondel when you think of the water, because it's so close. What you do is you use it as cover constantly because you know you can just get away. So if somebody starts shooting at you, you're like, okay, let's get in the water. But this, where the water's located, it's more going to be like, shit, now I have to cross the open water and hope I don't get held. Like think on Urzikstan around cargo. If somebody has to rotate, like say you're on hotel or something, and some team has to rotate over to cargo, you're like, oh, this is free. They're in the water. And now that we've played the game long enough with water, we don't bother wasting our bullets when they're underwater. You know this guy's going to have to come up at some point. You just track him, and as soon as he starts coming up for air, you start beaming him, and usually you get that kill. So situations like this, how it's laid out here, I would rather the water just not be there probably, and just more open space and maybe some smaller buildings here and there. But I think the way it's designed, people aren't going to be able to just use it as a crutch. It's going to be like, shit, I'm forced to rotate through this. And nobody's going to want to be in it. There's not just going to be water fights randomly taking place in the middle of it. Nobody's going to do that.
I agree. And that is even more true if the water functions as clearly as it looks like it's going to. Because again, this water is much brighter. It looks like it's much more... it's less brackish. You can see through it more easily. So if that's true, that makes everything Tanner just said even more true. Because like, if I'm holding a team from hotel and I'm at cargo, yeah, I'm not wasting my bullets because you can't shoot people in the water. I'm just attempting to track them underwater, and every time they pop up, we all rip their shit. Or worst case scenario, wait till they get to the shore and then rip their shit.
Yeah.
But the problem is sometimes they go underwater and you just don't see where they are. So then you have to like be like, okay, looking out like, fuck, where's he going to pop up? It's like playing fucking
You're back.
Whack-a-mole. But if you can see people much better on this map in the water, then it's even easier. Because like, yeah, you probably still won't be able to shoot through water. You almost certainly won't be able to. The devs can't figure that out. But I'll instead have no problem just tracking them as they're trying to cross to me. So it's like, okay, he's underwater. I'll just hold my bullets. But now I know exactly where you are and when precisely you're coming up because I can see your bitch ass. So then you come up, railed easily with extreme ease. And then, yeah, once they get on the coast or as they're approaching it, you know exactly where they are because you can fucking see them. So then they get on the coast, dead, just zapped. So that is way better. That makes the water way more palatable. Again, if true, hard to say, but yeah, I'm glad we went through this. Let us know your guys' thoughts. Shout out once again, just make sure this is true. Yes, Private Perennium for this idea. Great fucking idea. Glad we did this. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let us know your thoughts. And yeah, I'm glad we covered it late, honestly.
Yeah.
I
really Avalon
recording this. W Avalon, and let us know what you guys think, if we missed anything, or if you think we're wrong about something, or if you agree, whatever. Just let us know. And yeah, to our patrons, we hope you guys enjoyed. You got it earlier. And if you're listening to this on a public episode, it was chock full of ads. Get slammed, which on Patreon.
Thanks for the ad revenue.
Thanks for the ad revenue. Oh yeah, I'm a furry. And also, I'm not. Yeah, sorry we had to do this, but you know, it is what it is, and we hope you can forgive us. So for patrons listening, the next and final bonus episode for this month, which we will not be putting public, is going to be post season 2 launch. First impressions, second impressions, ideas, thoughts type beat. So that's what we will be doing. So obviously you won't be getting it until after season 2 launches. And then if you are not a patron and you enjoyed this episode and the style of episode, this is just what we do on Patreon. 3 bonus episodes specifically on Call of Duty a month for only $5. Yeah, sign up if you want. And if you want to listen to that, you know, season 2 kind of breakdown, then you'll need to be a patron. Patreon.com/Dropshot. To our existing patrons, once again, you guys got it early and ad-free, and thank you. And we hope you enjoy. And Activision devs absolutely do not play their own game.
Not at all, no.